What's good, y'all? It's Wealthy XP here, and this video is going to be responding to Rhymestyle's recent video on Xenoverse 3, because he actually said that key blast cancels were an intended mechanic, and that, you know what I mean, they weren't an exploit. He's basically explaining in this clip that I'm about to show you why he likes key blast cancels.
Bro, there's a big skill ceiling in Xenoverse that was great. There was so many things you can do. And by the way, something else I want to point out is people always say, hope key canceling gets patched out. Key canceling was part of the game, dog. A lot of people will always bring up key canceling because at some point, I don't know if YouTubers started a campaign against it or something, but key canceling has this weird percentage of the player base that hates it for some reason, and they're like, it's just an exploit. I can tell you, I was in a room with the devs, and they designed it that way. The whole point of key canceling is to make the fights faster, to recover faster, to give you more movement options.
Okay, so y'all just seen that clip, that absolute madness. And I like you, Rhymestyle. I do. I like you, but I gotta call out bullshit when you're saying bullshit, okay? And what you just said right there was a bunch of bullshit, okay? First of all, key blast cancels are a garbage mechanic for skillless players who are trash, okay? It's a crutch mechanic that people use to recover when they can't memorize the recovery timing of what they're actually doing. So because they don't have the skill to actually calculate the recovery time of what they're doing in the game, they get to rely on key blast cancels to get out of things when they're supposed to be punished. You're supposed to be punished. You're not supposed to be doing a key blast cancel. When you're doing a key blast cancel, you were supposed to be punished in that moment. You were not supposed to key blast cancel. Now, he explains that the devs intended for this to be a mechanic in the game, and this is why I'm actually worried for Xenoverse 3. That's not a good thing, Rhyme. That's a bad thing. If that was an intended mechanic, I'm worried for Xenoverse 3, and a lot of you guys should be too, because that means it's gonna be a game where noobs get to use crutch mechanics to get out of a bunch of bullshit when they're actually garbage. You know what I mean? They should be getting destroyed.
They literally take no resources. They don't take ki, they don't take stamina, they obviously don't take health or anything. They are completely free. Every character, I think except for Jocko and Hercule, can key cancel. Every character is able to do it, including CACs, and it doesn't cost a resource. The problem with key cancels is that they are so powerful that them not costing a resource just allows them to be spammed, because there isn't a cooldown on them either or anything. And the nature of a key cancel is to cancel an animation, so obviously it's not something that you can punish. It's literally a cancel to prevent you from being punished.
But because there's gonna be these crutch mechanics, because apparently the devs intended this, right, Rhymestyle? The devs actually intended for this to be in the game. So we can expect that crutch mechanics like key blast canceling will return in Xenoverse 3. He didn't directly say it will return, but he said the devs intended it. So if the devs intended it, that means that just like character customization, just like everything else in Xenoverse 3, they think that that's an important part of the game. So if they're adding that in Xenoverse 3, you know what I mean? Just like everything else, if they're adding that in Xenoverse 3, you can expect that that's going to be a game catering to noobs, okay? Catering to garbage players, all right? And I know if you liked key blast cancels that you were trash. I know you like to rely on crutch mechanics, okay? Remember, key blast canceling is not a skillful mechanic. It's a crutch, a reliable thing that that people who suck at the game, you know what I mean, and can't remember the recovery data of what they're doing, they can rely on that to get out of situations. So when I'm supposed to be punishing you, when I'm supposed to be hitting you, you're gonna key blast cancel, okay? That's a problem. That's a garbage mechanic. That was never a good idea. That takes out all of the punishment in the game. A fighting game is all about punishment. Fighting games are all about punishment. If there's no punishment in a fighting game, then you're not even playing a fighting game. You're just playing a party game. You know what I mean? At that point, you're playing a party game. You might as well be playing fucking Mario Kart at that point. You ain't playing no serious fighting game when the game has no punishment in it, okay? And Xenoverse 2 has no punishment in it because you can key blast cancel out of literally anything. Key blast canceling is always the best option, okay? It's a crutch mechanic for garbage players to rely on, and it ruins the game. It ruins games like this. I'm not gonna lie. Xenoverse 2 is a great game, don't get me wrong, but crutch mechanics like key blast cancels, armored limit burst, super armored limit burst, and certain things like that, they're all garbage mechanics. You know, all of those crutch mechanics need to be extinguished. I don't want to see any of those in Xenoverse 3. I do not want to see super armor limit burst or key blast cancels in Xenoverse 3.
It being completely free, making it the absolute optimal thing to do every time you miss an attack, is a problem. So for example, every time I miss an attack, I can just use the key cancel every time and I'm fine. There's nothing stopping me from doing this. I can just keep doing this, which and it turns into a key stun if they're in front of me, which I will also talk about. But key cancels are just completely free, and you can just keep spamming them.
All you garbage players are gonna have to get better. I'm sorry, okay? I know you want to rely on a crutch because you're trash. I know that must feel horrible. You know what I mean? I wasn't always good at games. I used to be garbage too, like you, but I got good though. You know, I sat down, I played, and I got good. You know, so I don't have to rely on crutch mechanics for garbage players. You know what I mean? I don't have to rely on these things to win. You know, I can enjoy the game without relying on that because I've actually gotten good. You understand? That's the whole point of the game. It's the whole point. You take out all forms of punishment, there is no skill gap. There is no skill gap. Once you learn how to key blast cancel, you can get out of anything. What type of skill gap is that? Rhymestyle's talking about a skill gap. There was a skill gap before Armored Limit Burst, you know what I mean? Armored Limit Burst and key blast cancels completely ruined all of the skill gap in that game. Completely tarnished the skill gap in that game. Once you learn how to do basic combos and move around, if you can key blast cancel and do a super armor limit burst, you're good.
That's the first issue with this mechanic. You can just keep spamming it no matter how, like, there's nothing to stop you from doing it. The second problem is that when you key cancel, obviously you dash after, and the step dash gives you iframes. If I just set hit to super strong here and make him attack me, I can keep doing this. Obviously I have to time it, but as you can see, it gives iframes. I can dodge attacks. Look, I literally just went through his attack there. The step dash gives iframes, and step dashing obviously also doesn't cost a resource. Look at that. It gives iframes. So the fact that this is a free mechanic that you can keep doing this with, you basically have constant access to iframes on an ability that also works as a stun and doesn't cost anything. This doesn't cost anything, and you can just keep doing this.
So that completely ruins the gameplay. That's what killed Xenoverse 2's gameplay for me. Online, personally, that's what killed it for me. Outside of the desync, obviously. Outside of the horrible desync, crutch mechanics for garbage noobs, like key blast cancels and super armored limit bursts, actually ruined the gameplay for me. I'm not gonna lie, before key blast cancels were basically found out, they were always in the game, but when the game first came out, no one knew how to do that because people were just playing the game to have fun. People weren't trying to play the game like to use crutch mechanics to get out of shit. You know what I mean? People were playing the game how they're supposed to have fun. They weren't trying to find a mechanic that's gonna be broken to help you recover when you shouldn't. You know what I mean? That's yeah. So if the devs did intend that, I'm sorry, but the devs are retarded. Okay, I'm sorry, but if the devs intended that, that was the dumbest thing y'all have ever done in your life. Okay, I'm sorry, that was not smart. That was not a good intended mechanic. It made the game faster for the worse. It made the game faster for noobs to get out of punishment, to avoid punishment. You know what I mean? Like, hey, bro, so if the devs made it, I'm scared. I'm actually worried, bro. If the devs made that in intent, I was hoping that was a mistake. Because in Xenoverse 1, you couldn't key blast cancel. The key blast recovery time took too long. You couldn't like recover from your key blast fast enough to just avoid punishment all the time. No, you couldn't do that bullshit. You had to actually know the fucking recovery data of what you're doing. Okay? So you were gonna get punished if you deserved to be punished. You weren't just gonna cancel out of everything. It's not how it worked. So they probably did add that as an intended mechanic because it wasn't in the first game. So they probably did intend that. And if they did, that was the dumbest thing they've ever intended to do. You know, along with super armor limit burst. Completely killers of the game. Trash.
But the fact that it's just always the optimal thing to do means that it's just spammed. It's literally just spammed with every time you look. Tell me, what do you see every time you see two experienced players fighting each other? It's just this the entire game. Because there's no cooldown, there's no resource requirement, and it gives iframes because of the step dash.
I'm really scared, actually, after Rhymestyle has said that, you know, these are intended mechanics. The devs wanted it to play like this. Bro said, I talked to the devs. I spoke with the devs, and yeah, nah, they wanted it like this. Okay, yeah, that means we should all be worried. You know what I mean? Everyone who's not planning to rely on crutch mechanics the entire game and cheese their way to victory and every single match online, you know what I mean? Everyone who's not looking forward to doing that and playing like an absolute loser, you know, just playing like a pathetic bum. Everyone who's not looking forward to playing like that, you should be worried about these key blast cancels because they're about to, if they add these mechanics back into Xenoverse 3, which is not confirmed yet, but it's like damn near, you know what I mean? Bro saying that the devs intended this. This is worrisome, you guys. I hope that some devs from Bandai see this and understand that was a bad mechanic. Rhymestyle is one guy, and he's not good at the games that he plays. You know what I mean? He's not good at Dragon Ball games. So, I mean, yes, he's a big creator, but he's not a good player that I would, like, take, like, his opinion on the mechanics and run with that. No. I would take actual skillful players and their opinion on the mechanics. That's what Bandai does wrong. They always go to, like, Rhymestyle, Syriax, and, like, Dada Doya. Like, I fuck with all of those guys. I fuck with them guys. I do. But them guys are not good at the game. Like, they're not good, like when they were making Sparking Zero, they should not have went to Rhymestyle and Syriax. They should have went to Grandmaster Hawk. You need to go to the veteran players who are actually know what they're doing. They're not just making content. You know what I mean? Like, you need to go to the players who actually know how the mechanics are supposed to be for the game to be balanced and play well. You need to stop just going to big YouTubers, Bandai. You got to stop doing that. That's why the game's flopped. That's why Sparking Zero flopped. It did flop too. Rhymestyle kept saying it didn't flop. Yes, it did. Right now, Sparking Zero has the same player count on Steam as Xenoverse 2. That is a failure. Okay, that is a failure. Okay, yeah, it sold good initially. Initial sales does not mean that the game has success and longevity. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean it has longevity. That means it had good initial sales, and once they rug pulled people, once people found out that they were rug pulled by a garbage game, the game immediately fell off. So that is a failure, 100%. Okay, we can go by Xenoverse as a perfect metric. 10 years later, it still has the same amount of players that Sparking Zero currently does on Steam. That's a success, okay? 10 years later, that game lasted. 10 years. Sparking Zero will be completely dead in the next year. Like, you know what I mean? That's a failure. That's a failure. Good initial sales are only good for Bandai. A success for the player base is a game that actually lasts, that actually feeds us, that actually gives us what we wanted out of it and expected out of it. That's a success for the players, okay? So Sparking Zero was a success for Bandai as a company, not for the players and for the people who want to enjoy the game. It was a success for Bandai and the stockholders and the shareholders, okay? That's who it was a success for. We shouldn't be using that as a metric to be like the game was successful. Yeah, it was successful for them. We didn't make any money off of that. If you're a Sparking Zero player, you're still broke. You didn't make any money off of what Bandai just did, finessing the community. You didn't make any money off of that. That wasn't successful for you. A success for us would have been a game like a Xenoverse 2 level game that got content and support for 10 years down the line and got a whole bunch more than just a pathetic slop rank mode that we got in Sparking Zero. Okay, so no, it was not a success. It was an absolute failure. It did good initially sales-wise. Initially, like I said, that is good for the executives at Bandai and the stock and the shareholders. That's not good for Rhymestyle. That's not good for Syriax. That's not good for any YouTube. That's not good for any content creator or anyone else. Okay, it wasn't successful for us. It was successful for the executives and the shareholders. Rhymestyle, are you an executive at Bandai? Like, I know you be having information that be like, yo, does he have some inside information? And it'd be like, we be wondering, like, do you know some shit that we don't know? Like, are you an executive at Bandai? Because how are you saying that Sparking Zero was a success? It wasn't a success for you. You didn't make that money off of it, off of the 6 million sales, unless we're mistaken and you're an executive. I didn't know that. So no, you didn't make the money off of that game. Your channel did well off of the game, but you didn't make the money that Bandai made, so it wasn't a success for you. It wasn't a success for the players either. It was only a success for Bandai and the executives initially. It's not even a success anymore. It's not selling anymore. You know what I mean? It was a success for the executives and Bandai initially. That's it. That's it. It was an absolute failure of a game. Complete failure in every other regard and metric possible that we can measure in any conceivable way. Okay? So we gotta stop that cope. That was some of the biggest cope I've ever heard in the world. And I fuck with you, Rhymestyle, but I gotta call it like what it is. I don't care who you are. I'm gonna call it what it is. You know what I mean? If you're coping, I gotta call you out. That's cope. That's just utter cope. I would love for Rhymestyle to respond to this video. You know, I would love to have a discussion with Rhymestyle about all of the things that I think are cope. You know what I mean? That I think are just absolute cope. I mean, come on, my boy. You can't do this. All right? But yeah, you guys, let me know what you guys think about Ki Blast cancels returning in Xenoverse 3. What do you guys think about that? And the fact that the devs intended that to actually be a mechanic. That garbage crutch mechanic for trash players that don't know how to play the game. What do you guys think about the fact that that will likely be returning because the devs apparently intended that mechanic based off what Rhymestyle was saying in this video, right? What do you guys think about that stuff? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, like the video, subscribe, turn on notifications. Link to the Discord is going to be in the pinned comment. Okay, we're building a community there. We've already got a ton of people in there talking about Xenoverse 3. I want to see you guys in there too. We talk about, obviously, other things too. We're going to be talking about GTA 6. We're going to be talking about just life in general. You know, we can talk about anything in that Discord. So I want to see you guys there. We're building a community. Like I said, it's Wealthy XP here. Tuning out. Be easy, y'all.